What if I told you that right now, without even realizing it? You might be slowly damaging your brain every single day. And the most dangerous part is, these habits feel completely normal. There's no pain, no warning, no sudden signal that something is going wrong. But deep inside your brain, changes are happening. Connections are weakening. Memory pathways are slowing down. And over time, this can lead to forgetfulness, confusion, and even serious cognitive decline. As a neurosurgeon, I've seen patients who thought they were just getting older, when in reality, their daily habits were accelerating the damage. After 60, your brain becomes more sensitive. It needs the right stimulation, proper blood flow, and consistent protection. But most people unknowingly do the exact opposite. In this video, I'm going to reveal 3 common habits that can quietly harm your brain over time, and more importantly, what you should do instead, and pay close attention to the last one, because it's something millions of people do every single day, believing it's harmless, when it's actually the most dangerous of all. To understand why these habits are so harmful, you first need to understand how your brain changes after 60. Your brain is not fixed, it is constantly adapting. This ability is called neuroplasticity. Even in older age, your brain can form new connections, strengthen existing ones, and repair itself to a certain extent. But here's the catch. This process depends entirely on how you use your brain. If you challenge it, it grows stronger. If you neglect it, it begins to shrink. Blood flow also plays a major role. Your brain depends on a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients. When circulation decreases, brain cells don't function as efficiently. Over time, this can affect memory, focus, and decision-making. This is why lifestyle habits matter so much. The things you do every day either support your brain or slowly weaken it. And the problem is, many of the most damaging habits are things people consider normal. Let's start with the first habit that quietly damages your brain: mental inactivity. This is not about intelligence, it's about stimulation. Many people believe that once they retire or slow down, their brain naturally becomes less active. But what actually happens is something much more concerning when you stop challenging your brain. It begins to lose connections. Think of it like a muscle. If you stop using it, it weakens. The same applies to your brain. Activities that once required focus and problem solving are replaced with passive habits: watching television for long hours, scrolling endlessly on a phone, or repeating the same routine every day. These activities do not challenge your brain. They do not create new connections. Over time, this leads to slower thinking, reduced memory, and decreased cognitive flexibility. And because this decline happens gradually, most people don't notice it until it becomes significant. Now here's what makes this habit even more dangerous. Mental inactivity doesn't just affect memory, it affects how your brain processes information. When your brain is not challenged regularly, it becomes less efficient at forming new connections. This means learning new things becomes harder. You may find yourself struggling to remember names, forgetting simple tasks, or losing track of conversations. Many people assume this is just a normal part of aging, but in many cases, it is the result of reduced mental stimulation. The brain needs variety, it needs challenge, it needs to be pushed in different ways. Simple activities like reading, solving puzzles, learning a new skill, or even engaging in meaningful conversations can make a huge difference. These activities force your brain to adapt, keeping it active and responsive. Without them, decline becomes much more likely. The good news is that this habit is also one of the easiest to fix. You don't need complex routines or expensive programs. What you need is consistency. Start by introducing small challenges into your daily life. Read something new, try to learn a new skill. Even something as simple as changing your routine can stimulate your brain. In a different way, the goal is not to overwhelm yourself, it's to stay mentally engaged. Over time, these small efforts create stronger neural connections. Your memory improves. Your thinking becomes sharper, and most importantly, you reduce the risk of long-term cognitive decline. But while mental inactivity is a major factor, it's not the only one. There is another habit that affects your brain in a completely different way, one that impacts blood flow directly, and this is where things start to become even more serious. Now let's move to the second habit that can quietly damage your brain after 60, and this one is far more physical than you might expect. It's prolonged sitting. Most people don't think of sitting as dangerous. It feels harmless, even comfortable, but from a neurological perspective, it creates a serious problem. Your brain depends on blood flow. Oxygen, glucose, and nutrients are constantly delivered through your bloodstream to keep brain cells functioning properly. But when you sit for long periods without movement, circulation slows down. Blood flow to the brain becomes less efficient, and over time, this reduced circulation can affect memory, focus, and overall cognitive performance. What makes this habit so dangerous is that it doesn't feel harmful in the moment. You can sit for hours watching TV, using your phone, or resting, and nothing feels wrong. But internally, your brain is receiving less stimulation, less oxygen, and less support, and this slow decline builds over months and years. The impact of prolonged sitting goes even deeper than just reduced blood flow. When your body remains inactive for long periods, your metabolism slows down. This affects how your body regulates blood sugar and oxygen delivery, both of which are critical for brain function. Over time, this can increase the risk of conditions that directly affect the brain, such as vascular issues and cognitive decline. Studies have shown that individuals who remain sedentary for extended periods are more likely to experience memory problems and reduced mental sharpness. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not just about how much you sit, it's about how often you break that pattern. Even small interruptions in sitting can significantly improve circulation. Standing up, stretching, or walking for just a few minutes can reactivate blood flow and re-engage your nervous system. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they create a powerful protective effect over time. So what should you do instead? The solution is not intense exercise, it's frequent movement. Your brain responds better to consistent, low-level activity throughout the day than to one long workout followed by hours of inactivity. This means breaking up sitting time regularly, every 30 to 45 minutes. Stand up, walk around, stretch your body, even simple movements like shoulder rolls, light walking, or standing for a few minutes can make a difference. These actions restore circulation, improve oxygen delivery, and keep your brain engaged. Over time, this helps maintain cognitive function and reduces the risk of decline. The key is consistency. You don't need to overthink it. Just avoid staying in one position for too long. Your body is designed to move, and your brain depends on that movement to stay healthy. Now here's where things become even more concerning, because while inactivity affects your brain physically, the next habit affects it chemically, and this is something millions of people do every single day without realizing the long-term impact. It doesn't feel harmful. In fact, it often feels relaxing. It's part of modern life, but over time, it can quietly change how your brain functions, how it processes information, and how it stores memories. And the worst part is, most people don't even consider it a problem. They think it's normal. They think it's harmless. But when you understand what it's actually doing to your brain, you'll start to see it very differently. The third habit that can slowly damage your brain after 60 is excessive passive screen consumption. This includes long hours of watching television, scrolling through social media, or consuming content without active engagement. Now, this doesn't mean all screen time is bad. The problem is passive consumption when your brain is not being challenged. During passive viewing, your brain enters a low activity state. It is receiving information, but it is not processing it deeply. Over time, this reduces cognitive stimulation and weakens neural connections. Unlike reading, problem solving, or learning, passive content does not force your brain to think, analyze, or remember. And this is where the damage begins. When this habit becomes part of your daily routine, your brain adapts by becoming less active, memory weakens, focus declines, and mental sharpness fades. This is why so many people feel mentally slower without understanding why. It's not just aging, it's how the brain is being used. Now that you understand all three habits, it's important to see how they connect. These are not separate problems, they amplify each other. When you stay mentally inactive, your brain loses stimulation. When you sit for long periods, blood flow decreases. And when you rely on passive screen consumption, your brain receives information without engaging with it. Together, these habits create the perfect environment for cognitive decline. Your brain is not being challenged, not being nourished properly, and not being used in the way it was designed. This combination accelerates the natural aging process of the brain, but here's the key point: this process is not irreversible. Your brain still has the ability to adapt, it just needs the right signals, and that means replacing these habits with actions that actively support brain function. Let's start with the solution to the first habit: mental inactivity. The goal is not to overload your brain, but to stimulate it consistently. Activities like reading, learning a new skill, solving puzzles, or even engaging in meaningful conversations can activate different areas of your brain. The more variety you introduce, the stronger your neural connections become. This is because your brain thrives on challenge. It needs to process new information, adapt to unfamiliar tasks, and form new pathways. Even small changes, like taking a different route during a walk or trying something new, can create this stimulation. Over time, these activities help maintain memory, improve focus, and keep your thinking sharp. The key is to stay curious. Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools for keeping your brain active. Now let's address the second habit: prolonged sitting. The solution here is simple but powerful. Move more often. You don't need intense workouts or long exercise sessions. What your brain needs is consistent circulation. Every 30 to 45 minutes, stand up, walk around, stretch your body. These small actions restore blood flow and deliver oxygen to your brain. Over time, this helps maintain cognitive function and reduces fatigue. Even light movement can have a significant impact. The key is to avoid long periods of complete inactivity. Your body is designed to move, and your brain depends on that movement to function properly. When you make this a habit, you create a steady flow of energy and support for your brain throughout the day. The third habit: passive screen consumption, requires a different kind of solution. It's not about eliminating screens completely, but about changing how you use them. Instead of passively consuming content, try to engage with it. Ask questions, take notes, reflect on what you are watching or reading. Better yet, replace some screen time with activities that require active thinking. Reading a book, writing, or even discussing ideas with others can stimulate your brain in ways passive content cannot. The goal is to shift from consumption to engagement. When your brain actively processes information, it strengthens neural connections and improves memory retention. Over time, this helps maintain mental sharpness and reduces the risk of cognitive decline. As you begin to make these changes, you may notice something interesting. Your energy levels improve, your thinking becomes clearer, you may find it easier to focus, remember details, and stay engaged in conversations. These are signs that your brain is responding positively, and this response is not just temporary. It builds over time. The more consistently you support your brain, the stronger it becomes. This is the power of neuroplasticity. Your brain adapts to how you use it. When you give it the right input, it creates stronger connections, and those connections are what protect your memory, your focus, and your overall cognitive function. It's also important to understand that protecting your brain is not about doing one thing perfectly. It's about doing many small things consistently. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a sustainable one. Small daily habits create long-term results. Reading for a few minutes, taking short movement breaks, and reducing passive screen time may not seem significant in the moment, but over weeks and months, they create real change. This is how you protect your brain over time, not with one big action, but with consistent, intentional behavior. Another powerful factor in brain health is awareness. Once you understand how these habits affect your brain, you begin to notice them in your daily life. You become more conscious of how long you sit, how you use your time, and how often you challenge your mind. This awareness allows you to make better decisions, and those decisions shape your habits. Over time, your habits shape your brain. This is why understanding is so important. When you know what to look for, you can change it. Many people believe that cognitive decline is simply a part of aging, but in many cases, it is influenced by lifestyle. Your brain is constantly responding to your environment. When you give it stimulation, movement, and engagement, it adapts in a positive way. When you don't, it adapts in the opposite direction. This is why the choices You make every day matter. They are shaping your brain, whether you realize it or not. The good news is that it is never too late to make a change. Your brain can adapt at any age. Even small improvements in your habits can create noticeable differences in how you think and feel. The key is to start. Start with one habit, stay consistent, then build from there. Progress does not have to be fast, it just has to be steady. Over time, these small changes can lead to significant improvements in your cognitive health. At the end of the day, your brain is one of the most important parts of your body, and it depends on how you use it. The habits you follow every day are either strengthening it or slowly weakening it. Mental inactivity, prolonged sitting, and passive screen consumption may seem harmless, but over time, they can have a lasting impact. The good news is that you have control by making simple changes. You can protect your brain, improve your memory, and maintain your independence, because the difference between decline and strength often comes down to what you do every single day. Start today and your future self will thank you.